Hello, the internet. Welcome to They Came From the Silver Screen, podcast about film discussions. I'm Josh Tregenza, and with me, as always, is Damien Danaher.
Hello, everyone.
How are you doing today?
Pretty good, my man. Pretty good indeed.
And it is today. We are recording during the light hours.
I know. I'm a little weird about that, actually.
Yeah.
Sun's out.
See how it plays off. I'm drinking beers as opposed to the regular whiskey for those playing at home.
Indeed. And I'm drinking some peppermint tea because I am ruthlessly hungover.
There needs to be a designated podcaster for every podcast.
And today is me.
And this is the only time that we have had one. So, once again, for those playing at home,
There you are.
first designated podcaster.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we're going to pretend that it's an ongoing thing, but in all likelihood, we will never mention this ever again.
But this week, we saw Captain America Civil War.
We did indeed.
Or what Avengers 2 should have been. So, this is done by the Russo brothers again.
Indeed.
This is the second film that they've done. Well, the second Captain America film that they've done. And they're still hitting, I think we can say that they're still hitting gold in this.
I think we can easily agree on that, absolutely.
They really know how to do like a good Marvel film.
Also like a good Captain America film as well. You've seen like other the way he's been tackled by sort of other directors. I mean, the first Captain America, Joe Johnston. I mean, that was a sort of romantic love letter to those old school like war films and everything like that. But then in Avengers and everything, he kind of came off as very much the Boy Scout, and he just wasn't that interesting. And what the Russos have done is, through just savvy filmmaking and good storyline choices and things like that, they've actually made him a conflicted character. He's actually got depth now.
Yeah, but still a Boy Scout, but just he has far more on. He's got more under the surface than just I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be doing the right thing. No, I'm doing what I believe is right, whether or not that is on the grand scope of what's going on in the world, which is pretty much what Civil War backs itself with.
Yeah. I mean, it's also that thing that there's a zealotry behind his Boy Scout, demeanor.
Is uncompromising.
Exactly, which, in this movie at least, tips towards, being an issue.
Yeah. And so the basic rundown of the film is Captain America and the Avengers, his new team of Avengers that was established at the end of Age of Ultron. They go in, all except Vision and War Machine. Those are because that would have made the film very small. But they go in to Lagos to prevent Crossbones, who was in the previous Winter Soldier. But he goes in and he's stealing a biological weapon. They jump in to stop him. He sets himself off as a suicide bomber, but Scarlet Witch gets him out of the way of people, but still causes mass collateral damage, causing the Avengers to be put under scrutiny by the UN, and one particular, Thunderbolt Ross.
Who we have not seen in a good long while.
No, not since
Incredible Hulk 2008, I think.
Yeah, that'd be correct. And the end slate where he's speaking with RDJ, who is on Ross's side in this, as he wants the Avengers to be under a UN council so that they are accountable to someone and not just themselves.
So we have that, set up basically that is the, core concept of the entire film. And then we have another, villain that comes in later on to shake things up and test the ideological viewpoints of Iron Man and, Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, who take opposing sides on how to deal with this encroaching villainy in the world. and it basically at the end of the day comes down to the notion of government oversight. How much is too much? Steve says, we do make mistakes, but the safest hands are still our own.
Well, it also comes down to how much trust you have in yourself, because Steve Rogers has all the trust in the world for himself and his teammates. He puts his life on the line for them, whereas Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark has been going through a really great character deconstruction throughout starting from Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Avengers, and Age of Ultron, and now Civil War, where he's just becoming so unsure of himself that he is the best person to deal with these things, and he needs that. He needs someone else to just give him that hand.
It is that kind of, I mean, it sort of lends itself beautifully because he's been doing this character for so long now and in so many movies. He has got that kind of seniority, this like sort of elder statesman role about him, and it's the weight of that power and influence is weighing heavily upon him now.
And the Russos really do a great work with him, because he speaks at MIT at the start of the film, and where we see a young Robert Downey Jr. done with CGI, which I would argue is the best amount of CGI this film has to offer. We'll go further into it, but suffice it to say, the rest of the film does not handle the CGI well. It does Captain America's attire well. It does Sam Wilson's attire very well. But apart from that, no one really looks as good as they did in either the Avenger films or Ant-Man or and it's very strange to see. But yeah, so we see Robert Downey Jr. speaking with MIT, and you put that against Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Where he is so bombastic. It is like the Apple keynotes turned up to like 11.
The dancing girls and all that sort of stuff. Charles, Foster Kane.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's huge. It's bombastic, and then like he's showing this amazing technology that's going on, but he's downplaying it. He's putting himself out there. He's showing something very personal to himself, which does aid in the storytelling of the film with his parents, and we get the original Howard Stark again.
Yeah,
which John Slattery reprising his role as Howard Stark, as Old Man Stark, which I'm really glad of that they didn't just age Dominic Cooper.
Yeah.
Who played, which I really fear that they would do once they brought him in as young Stark in Captain America, the original.
Yeah, the first Avenger, yeah.
Yeah. So really glad for that to happen, because he works so well as that despondent father, which really helped shape Tony Stark, whereas he was so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as the Dominic Cooper Howard Stark, that's what Steve Rogers needed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's basically two different characters, and it does help branch what happened with Tony Stark and Steve Rogers.
Exactly.
Because there's always that little thing behind the scenes of, my father loved you more than he loved me.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's funny how many movies just come back to it, but at the end of the day, it's just the sins of the fathers.
Absolutely.
Begotten, and repeated upon their progeny. And even in a bombastic, comic book superhero movie like this, that's still the main theme. It's curious.
Yeah, and it's very... Yeah, Hollywood has a lot of daddy issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like a lot.
Well, Spielberg did his entire career basically on people with father issues.
Obviously, it makes money.
I mean, all of his movies, the families are always broken homes, or the fathers are absent or dead or, divorced or something like that.
Well, that was the sign of, when he was starting off, that was when divorce was becoming commonplace.
Mm.
So around that time, particularly in the 80s, that's when divorce was becoming normalized to the point of, this is just how it is. There's no
Yeah.
nuclear family anymore.
Yeah, exactly. This is the new family. When sometimes you got two families,
Yeah.
basically, or something like that. So I mean, like we should talk, I suppose, about. I mean, everyone's been calling this movie, Avengers 2.5, basically, as this kind of bridging film in between Age of Ultron and, quite a way down the line still, but eventually what will become Infinity Wars. And so, we've got a bunch of new characters that have cropped up to be a part of this, and then we'll have their own movies down the line as well. So, in terms of narrative significance, how well were they incorporated into the story? I guess let's talk about Black Panther first.
Okay. Well, yeah, Black Panther. Okay, Chadwick Boseman.
Mm-hmm.
He is fantastic. So from the word go, he sells T'Challa.
Yeah.
The Black Panther. He sells it. He is a diplomatic man who once again is thrust into this situation by the death of his father.
Yep.
So when they go to sign the UN treaty, the Sokovia Agreement.
Sokovia Accords, yeah.
Sokovia Accords. They go to sign that, and then the Wakandan king, what's the father's name? It's T'Challa or something like that.
Mr. Black Panther Senior.
Well, the king is supposed to take up the helm of Black Panther.
Yeah.
So he was Black Panther.
Was before.
Yeah, but he never really. He does. At this point in time, I don't think he is the warrior that his son becomes. And it is stated that his father's killed by a bombing of the UN at the UN building, which is said to be done by Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier from Winter Soldier, who has been off the grid until this point in time. So Black Panther is out for revenge. He's out to find and kill the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah, and brings in the main conflict of Steve Rogers trying to stop this, which, the first big thing of Black Panther, he jumps into action real quick.
Absolutely, yeah.
So they establish T'Challa as a character, speaking with Black Widow. He's then shell-shocked by the death of his father, and then bam, he is straight into, yes, this is exactly what I must do. I am now the king of Wakanda, but I must avenge my father's death. Revenge is just as much plot in this film in various ways. Than government oversight and accountability.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I liked about it was that it wasn't just shoehorned in for the sake of, name dropping a character and basically saying, watch this space for a movie that'll be coming out in the next, 12 or 18 months. Like it was more than just like a in sort of cinema advertisement. Like he actually had, purpose and utility for the plot, and it wasn't forced. It was perfectly incorporated, unlike some other movies that we have spoken about and the introduction of new characters. I think this was handled, one would say, insurmountably better.
Absolutely. So every character there has their purpose. You could say that the inclusion of Ant-Man may have been a bit be as forced as it could have been. But
also
doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean they weren't sort of really doing anything.
You still actually saw him doing something, and this wasn't the first time you saw him.
Exactly.
So the new characters are, of course, Black Panther, played by Chadwick Boseman, and then Spider-Man, which is, this was a big deal coming into this film that he would be part of the Marvel Universe.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and he is played by Tom Holland. So
That little British boy, I don't know if you ever saw The Impossible
I did not know.
tsunami film with Ewan McGregor and
Yes.
Naomi Watts, and he was the son.
Ah,
And he was
gotcha.
absolutely spectacular. So, I mean, the beauty of it is that he's cut his teeth on proper, meaty, cinematic fare, and now gets to jump into something pulpy like this, and I think he's going to do fantastically well.
I think he does. I think he does. He's still a cool Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Like
He's not sort of going for that sort of emo route that Andrew Garfield seemed to be doing.
but he
like
was still the coolest.
Yeah, I guess so. But he was more tortured, I think, Andrew Garfield's one.
Well, yeah, when you are the person who leads to Dennis Leary's death, then yeah, you're going to be a bit tortured.
I mean, a lot of people would thank him, but
Well, they would be assholes.
Well, yes, I know.
Dear. And halfway through the film, they bring in, so here's what's really good about Civil War. They let the characters breathe a little.
Yeah.
It's never thrusting, they're never pushing them down their throat. Everyone's getting their time to shine.
Yeah.
They're establishing, the new characters. So establishing Black Panther, they put him into enough scenes.
Yeah.
And they're not putting him into the right scenes. He's there for a reason. He's always at the right place, it feels, in the script.
Yeah.
He's never forced in. And the same, I feel that the pacing did stop a little when Tony Stark went to meet Peter Parker.
Yeah, I mean, like Spider-Man, you could say basically you could cut all of his scenes out of the movie and nothing would change.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in terms of sort of establishing and setting up the character for something later, that was sort of the primary purpose of it. But the thing I liked about it was understanding that this was a pretty sort of basically borderline fan service moment. They actually had a lot of fun with it and integrated it in a way that actually felt organic.
Yeah, and it was still true to Civil War.
Yep.
The comic book as well. Because in the comic book, Spider-Man does jump from side to side.
Yeah,
but he is initially brought in
with Stark, doesn't he?
On Stark, and he was kind of brought in because of money and a new suit.
Yeah,
the Iron Spider suit, which he doesn't get in this film, but he does get the iconic Spider-Man suit that we'll see in Homecoming.
Absolutely,
which is it's very. So it kept to that sort of. It kept to that true nature of the comics. It wasn't just jamming him in because we had to put him in so we could solidify this deal with Sony, which I actually think that they could put the introduction of Peter Parker at the start of the film, like during that MIT sort of point, and then you could call back. So I'm wondering if there's a deleted scene in which Peter Parker was at that speech. And they just had to cut that for time because it seems very out of place that it's like, oh, I know a guy or I know someone that we can bring in to fill the ranks.
I would be curious to see. I mean, I also wonder if part of it was that, that production or at least pre-production had already been going on the movie for ages and the script was being written when they actually made this deal. So he was incorporated after the fact.
Yeah. So into the main set, which could be why the CGI for that main airport scene looks as, well, in some cases, half-assed as it did.
It's a little weird. I got to wonder if maybe it's because of the shooting style that the Russo brothers use with their films, is that all the previous movies, these characters, Iron Man, War Machine, all those guys, they'd have their very sort of graceful hero shots and everything like that. Whereas the Russo brothers, because they shoot with like a far more kind of sort of docudrama, cinema verite sort of
Mm.
you as though you were there sort of thing, kind of like what Paul Greengrass does, sort of a journalistic feel to it. There's a lot more sort of what I guess I would call human movement
Yeah.
with these characters. You see them like Tony sort of kneeling and sitting and standing and running in the suit, which you almost never see. And the same with all these other characters that it's a sort of a field of movement that we've never actually seen those uh, characters go through before, if that makes any sense. And the style of fighting is different as well.
And they are in the daylight as well, which is
Yeah.
not something you saw too much of. Like even in Sokovia, it was very dark and dismal when you saw them fight. So yeah, I guess that was because in the airport, it's just them.
It was very bright. It was very bright. It was very sparse.
Yeah,
There wasn't
just,
really anything to hide the stuff behind.
Mm.
I mean, I had to say there were moments where, the Spider-Man suit looked very Green Lantern-y.
Yes. Yeah. That looked, well, I would say that the Iron Man and War Machine suits looked very bad when they didn't have their helmets on. Because it was the separation from the neck up was just like pasted on.
I was going to say it was like a copy paste job almost.
Yeah, it looked it, and it was a bit of Vaseline around where the edges meet. That's what it looked like, because it would just look so bad. It was so strange. It's a reason why, because in Iron Man 2 they had a lot of talking between Don Cheadle and Robert Downey Jr. without their mask on, but it was always the faceplate.
Yeah,
they still had the helmet on, and in this one they didn't. I guess because they wanted to show off the actors more.
Yeah, for sure.
But it just didn't really look good.
But the beauty of it is that even in spite of some of these like sort of hinky special effects, I really didn't care. Almost.
No, you still
because
felt a lot of it.
We were that invested, and I mean, like I hate to bring it up, but I mean, like this is the fundamental difference between Batman v Superman and Civil War is that you actually are invested and care about these characters because we've been having them built up and we've been experiencing them and going on adventures with them for almost 10 years now. And so when something happens to Rhodey, you actually are concerned.
I felt that so much, and because they far more than any other films that Don Cheadle has been in as Rhodey, it hit home because he was up front and center throughout it all. Once again, much like Black Panther, he was utilized efficiently.
Yeah.
I think the only couple of characters was Scarlet Witch and Vision.
Yeah, who didn't really get a look in. I mean, that you can see that they're starting to set up the romance between them.
But you could once again take them out of it. Like apart from the fact that she
instigates the entire plot.
Yeah, but she becomes a plot device. She's really a plot device rather than a proper character. Which I feel that's what they were in what her and Quicksilver were in Age of Ultron.
Absolutely. They were just
excuses. I don't know, like, why did they choose those two characters? Why did they choose Scarlet Witch to continue going through? Because they don't seem like they're utilizing it at best. And granted, they're not very easy characters to work with.
I think when Joss Whedon was asked about this, he said, like, why Scarlet Witch and everything like that. He said, because I've got enough characters that just punch things. I wanted to introduce some variety in the powers that were on display. Basically, it was sort of his reasoning.
that's it though. Like that's a very loose reason to actually have a character in a film. Like, oh, it's just a different amount of special effects that we're putting in.
Yeah.
This person holds their hands up like they're doing, Tai Chi. Like what? Like, is that really a reason why you should have a character in a film?
Apparently.
Like, is it in reference to the fact that there's only one other female superhero in this? Like,
I think
once
also
again,
maybe
you're filling a quota.
Yeah.
Like, have a character in there that actually works, like for the plot. And I'm not so like, I guess Russo brothers. I point the finger at them because like they've done it. You know that they can do it. They've done it with heaps of all the other characters in this film. But like Scarlet Witch, not so much.
It is, strange about that. I'm not sure if it was just because they just didn't have time to give absolutely everyone a look in, or if they thought they had actually done enough. That her guilt over the incident in Lagos, and then her sort of little through line of being afraid of what people thought of her and being feared by the public and everything like that, and that sort of dialogue that she has with Vision, we're different, they'll always be afraid of you, etc., etc. I wonder if they just thought that that was actually enough of a storyline in and of itself.
Yeah, I don't know if it was though.
Like, I get the feeling that that's what they kind of thought.
Is Elizabeth Olsen the right actress for that?
Well,
For this
frankly,
sort of role?
I don't know why they didn't just actually cast someone from that part of the world.
Yeah.
Like, why it needed to be an American actress. I mean, like the argument obviously would be that we want someone well known, like a named actor, to bring prior baggage and fan base and all that sort of stuff to the movie. But I mean, Elizabeth Olsen isn't exactly well known per se. I mean, like, she doesn't really do, apart from like Godzilla. She hadn't really done like mainstream blockbuster stuff. She really stuck to like the indie circuit with Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene, or whatever it is, that movie about with John Hawkes about the cult, and then that Spike Lee's remake of Old Boy. I mean, that's the sort of stuff that she came from.
Yeah.
So on that basis, it just doesn't make sense to me why they wouldn't just cast an unknown from, well, the place where Scarlet Witch is actually meant to be from.
Yeah, it seemed very strange, and it was the same thing with is it Andrew Jackson?
What's his name?
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah, same thing with him in Quicksilver. It just didn't feel like it fit right.
Yeah.
So it is a real shame because it is like Scarlet Witch is an interesting character.
Yeah.
And she's kind of got some ties, she's got the ties to the magical world.
Yeah.
Which, that can feed into, the Stephen Strange film that's going to be coming up.
Yeah.
So, she is a character that can be utilized and then weaved into other films as well.
I think they basically are just waiting for the chance to actually utilize her properly. But at the moment, basically, it's just, well, we got to keep you around, and we'll give you a little look in, like a poke your head through the door. Hi, how are you? Yes, she's still here. Yes, she's still alive, but you're not useful yet.
Yeah. And then you've got, so you're not useful yet, whereas you've got Emily Van Camp, who's Agent 13, or Sharon Carter.
Yeah.
She's also kind of put in there as kind of like, yes, you're important, and you're important because you're the you're there as the love interest, maybe, kind of. You're there to fill it in. But
it's also kind of, I always found it a little bit weird that Cap is taking a romantic shine to the niece of the woman
keeps it in the family.
Of the woman he used to go out with.
Yeah, it's so strange.
And
Like,
I
and
guess we're not really meant to be thinking about it in that level of detail, but that's all I could think about.
considering that we actually went to her funeral,
Hmm.
like Peggy's funeral, it's like, what? And that felt weird as well. Because
Yeah,
and it, Agent Carter, I think, is being cancelled after the
it
next
has.
season.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that felt like it's like, no, we're literally putting a nail in the coffin in this character.
yeah,
And it was nice to see like elderly Peggy in Winter Soldier.
that was great. I thought that
I
was
thought that was
fantastic.
it was really great, and I don't think they needed to have her funeral as part of this film.
No, I think it was, again, it was a plot device
Plot
to
device.
bring, Cap and Agent 13 together to make it clear to him that they were related,
Mm,
because otherwise he wouldn't have been interested.
of course. Which okay, so here's another thing that's coming up is like he is 100-year-old man basically.
Hmm.
He doesn't need I don't think Captain America needs to have a romantic interest.
No, because I don't think that's who he is. He's always about the mission.
Yeah, he's about the mission. He's about his duty. It's so strange to see him like that, just a bit of a kiss. Like
Yeah,
in Winter Soldier, there was the thing with him and Scarlett Johansson,
yeah,
Black Widow, which really works well in the point of that's what Black Widow does. She uses her sexuality to keep her teammates in line,
exactly. Yeah,
to keep them under control.
It's a controlling aspect. Absolutely.
Yeah, which is a brilliant, it's a very subtle thing. Well, it's not so subtle. The reasoning behind it isn't so subtle of why she does it, but this is part of her character, and she utilizes her sexuality appropriately.
Yeah,
So that was fine to bring that in Winter Soldier, and like bit of a kiss sort of thing, bit of flirting, try to hook you up, but I'm also flirting with you. Yeah. But it's like, but with Carter, Agent Carter, it's just you didn't need it. Cap doesn't need anyone, and I include that him and Bucky Barnes.
Oh, you beat me to it. Everyone wants them. Everyone's shipping them hard at the moment.
And I would be like, I'm like that. I'd love that to happen, but it would be an absolute bloodbath.
Yeah.
It would be. So more people are fine with Captain America in the comic books now coming out that he is a Hydra agent.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so in the first issue of Captain America, Steve Rogers, it said that he's been an undercover Hydra agent since before he became Captain America.
Oh, get out. Really? Okay.
Yeah, so, and very much, people go, yes, that means he's a Nazi. And it's like, yeah, it's well-founded that's what Hydra is an analogy of. And a lot of people are disputing the fact of, oh, no, it's not actually yada, yada, yada. It's like, well, okay, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, but come on. Like, let's call a spade here.
Mm-hmm.
So people have less trouble with that than they would have with the epitome of America being gay.
Yeah, well.
So society, cool with Captain America being a Nazi, not with him being a homosexual.
Well,
That is the leap I am making. And I'll stand by it, goddammit.
I was going to say, I hope you will. Bless. We got to leave this.
That is staying in.
Please leave it in. Yes, absolutely. That's going to stay in. So, America, summed up. Nazis are good. Gays are bad.
Make Hydra great again.
Jesus Christ. I'd be interested to see the real world parallels between the shit that goes on in these movies and whatever's going to happen when Trump brings out his SS Gestapo of white trash warriors to, take on the darkies of America.
Oy.
Take it back.
Well, it was really interesting that there was at the confrontation of Winter Soldier, Captain America, Black Panther, and War Machine. Those were the four characters that were kind of shown off at once they caught the Winter Soldier first and foremost. So you had two men out of place from old school values.
Yeah.
and two, black men. It was like who were catching them, and they're within the law,
Yeah.
not the two old white guys.
Yeah, it was
like,
a really cool like little
yeah,
spin on
and
it.
they chose to keep Sam Wilson out of that bit, so it was kind of a conscious decision, I believe. That's what it looks like.
I'd certainly agree with you on that one. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if it's just a coincidence, it's one hell of a coincidence.
And they utilize their characters so well. Which it is such a shame that when they fall down, it becomes apparent. And Paul Bettany's always kind of been pushed off to the side. He has been in the Iron Man films as Jarvis, and then as Vision. He's just not like the Vision. Just isn't a very interesting character, really.
I mean, if they took more time, I think, to analyze, his attempt to integrate into humanity and adopt more human mannerisms and everything like that. I mean, they had that one scene where he's wearing civilian clothing and he's trying to cook and everything like that. But I mean, again, that's like more sort of surfacey stuff that serves more like to be a pun, like a joke. Like you can just go, ha ha ha, look at him, he's wearing a sweater, than like actually sort of discussing any sort of in-depth conflicts he might be experiencing, being basically the equivalent of a god.
Well, not only that, but they could also play with him also serving a father's duty, because his father is Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark.
Yeah.
So you could also play with that, and they barely ever have anything on screen. Tony Stark kind of just doesn't, like, I feel he just doesn't give a shit about Vision. He sees him as a weapon, but as nothing else. He's another toy that he created. He has little love for him as Vision than he did when he was Jarvis.
He loved him a lot more as Jarvis.
And that's crazy. Like but maybe that's the curse of the Starks so Jarvis is like a friend, a confidant sort of thing. But as like when he becomes Vision and a son, the Starks are just like really bad fathers. They just have no idea. Yeah, they are the Brian Cox in terms of fathers.
Oh God, that's a nice callback. Still the best X-Men movie ever.
Absolutely.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Not seen Age of Apocalypse, but I can sit comfortably in that remark.
I haven't seen it either, and don't know if I feel a burning desire to actually either.
No, I'll be fine. I'll be right. But let's get into Zemo, the antagonist.
Please.
I guess the main antagonist of the film. He is the man who is driving all of this conflict behind the scenes. It's a Daniel Bruhl? Just Bruhl?
Yes.
And he was in Inglourious Bastards.
Absolutely.
He was the sniper that they made the film about.
That's right. Yes. Nation's Pride.
Yeah, he was in that.
He was in Rush. He played Niki Lauda.
Yeah. So he's been in things. He's got chops and all of that.
Absolutely.
And I think so. He is the antagonist, and he's a really good, like, his introduction into this as the torturing of the Hydra agent in order to get the secrets.
Yeah, pretty heavy scene for a Marvel movie.
Really heavy scene.
I mean, Kevin Feige always said that Marvel wouldn't be going, the Batman route. They wouldn't be dark stuff would happen, but the tone would never be dark. But they kind of went for it with that scene.
Yeah, they did. And so he's playing Zemo. He is a Sokovian kill squad leader. Like he's just brutal.
Yeah. And
his character is affected by the events of Age of Ultron. Basically, and really because of how good his performance is and what he does in this film, it basically means that it's good that Age of Ultron happened.
Yeah.
Far more than bringing in Scarlet Witch or Vision. Because just for his moments, I feel it's so much better. Because it's very subtle in in how he progresses throughout the plot.
Yeah.
You know,
You
he
don't
looks
really realize what he's up to until near the very, very end.
absolutely, and it was, you know, it was a fantastic part. You know, in the middle of the film, he's taking the phone call from his wife, and he's just completely blank. He's not really. It looks like he's not listening to her because she's saying, her son misses him. Their son misses him, and he doesn't say anything when she says "I love you." He just hangs up.
Yeah,
And it's like, and that played perfectly into the character that they were establishing of him being cold and to the task of this. And then as we progress through the film, we find out that is not a phone call. That is a recording.
it's a voicemail. Yeah,
Voicemail that he is playing again and again. And that is the reason why he has set up everything. He has framed Bucky Barnes. He has uncovered the truth about Tony Stark's parents' death at the hands of the Winter Soldier. He has played these characters in order to gain revenge for what mistakes they made in Sokovia.
Yeah.
And it was just, I loved him as a character because of that. I love the way that they played that out.
I mean, the thing about it was that you actually sympathized with him.
You didn't sympathize with him until that point, and it was like, oh man.
So the 180 of him being this, ruthless villain that, bombs peace conferences and, tortures men and everything like that to go for some higher, evil purpose, and then to just smash you with that revelation at the end that at the end of the day he's basically just a grieving husband and father.
And it's and they played out.
It makes you reassess sort of everything.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that anything that he did was right, but it just gave an explanation and it just turned it on its head. It's like, oh my God, because they were establishing that he was after the other Winter Soldiers.
Yeah.
It turned out that there were others that had the serum that Sebastian Stan's Bucky Barnes had in order to make him into a Winter Soldier. And they were becoming, and they were violent people. They were perfect assassins. So it played that.
Which, in a more generic movie, they would have just gone for that as the climax.
And the Russo brothers knew that.
It was such a lovely bait and switch to basically hold up all these MacGuffins, and then you walk through the door and they're dead. And that's it.
Why would you think I would want any more of them in the world?
Yeah.
It was so good.
I mean, like Marvel, if it must be said, there's a lot of stuff they do well, but villains is not one of them.
No.
They don't do villains. I mean, bar Loki basically. But even he's not really. I mean, I'd say, most of them are just, I couldn't even remember half of them. But Zemo, I'd say, is the best villain they've ever done.
He is the best villain they have done, but he is Baron Zemo is such a forgettable character.
Yeah,
it's and you could get away. He's yeah, so what? It's just Baron Zemo. In the comics, he's not really much of anything. He's never been. No, he's no Red Skull, which is basically the Captain America villain. So it's none of that. But what he's done is so much better. He's done more than Ultron did. He's done more than what Loki did. And Loki literally he tried to tear the Avengers apart. He was trying
to do the exact same thing, yeah.
And he couldn't do it. No. He couldn't do it. But, Zemo did it, and it did it so well, and you understood why. You have the exchange between him and T'Challa at the end.
Yeah.
And then, Black Panther then goes off and he's like, no more, those men are killing each other based on revenge. You have done all of this for revenge. I will no longer pursue my revenge.
Yeah.
and then instead of like, and then he stops Zemo killing himself,
Yeah.
and it's just so good. They do characters so well.
It's just such a pleasure to see scenes like that where there's some actual like complexity going on in character motivations, where you see events that are terrible, that are morally questionable, but the movie itself doesn't condemn and it doesn't condone. It just regards.
Absolutely,
And that was the
it's
beautiful thing about Zemo, is that it showed what he did, but in a kind of removed, dispassionate kind of way, that this is just some stuff he was doing. And then, the big reveal, it didn't play on the schmaltz really hard or anything like that. This sort of, oh, I'm just misunderstood. It
it,
just, again, it showed us for exactly what it was, and let everyone else make the choice of how they felt about it.
he wasn't a pitiful character, whereas
No.
I feel Loki often is shown as that. Like that's his defect. That he's so petty and he's like,
Sniveling
yeah,
and
I deserve this. You scorned me. These
Yeah.
are the reasons I'm doing this. You should understand and you should bow before me. Whereas Zemo's like, no, like I'm barely going to tell you why. Like, and I'm not going to like ask you to understand. No, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
This is what's happening. You have no choice in the matter.
Yeah.
The timer was started 35 minutes ago. This is just how it is.
Yeah.
Your pawns in my play and enjoy. It really was a refreshing choice of a Marvel film to take.
Yeah. I mean, especially in terms of the climax of the film.
Yeah, because Winter Soldier did those tropes again of, it's a big battle station.
It's something in the sky, and eventually it's going to fall out of the sky, which is like the Marvel go-to climax.
Yeah,
Most of their movies are a big thing in the sky that falls out of the sky.
Yeah.
Like a lot. Like a lot of the time.
Yeah, wow.
So it was actually just very pleasant to have it.
Well, they did have War Machine falling from the sky.
Well, yes.
Was a big beat. So that's us nitpicking, and we do like to nitpick here.
We do. But I mean, I'll give them a pass on that one,
Because once again, that was a brilliant character moment. That was so good. Vision gets his vision clouded by Scarlet Witch, and he shoots off into Falcon, but he wasn't paying attention, so he gets War Machine. War Machine falls, and both Iron Man and Falcon go to get him.
Yeah.
Which is, once again, brilliant, because Sam Wilson, once again, is a good man and he's doing the right thing. I will do everything I can, because we may have been enemies at this point in time, but I still have the respect and admiration for you.
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing about like the Marvel, about this Civil War thing. It's just like, well, like they're all mates.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't want to fight. It's like both sides are essentially just, good people trying to do what they think is right.
And they reference it with Hawkeye and Black Widow. It's like, are we still friends? It's like, depends how hard you hit me.
Yeah, like so, yeah.
Fun. And they do, and like they utilize Jeremy Renner, and I think this is the best. Like, I really like him as the gruff, like, can't retire for anything because I got to get dragged back into this.
Getting too old for this shit, basically.
Absolutely, he's the Danny Glover of this.
He's Murtaugh. He's Murtaugh.
Absolutely, and it worked really well. I think it's the best thing about the best direction to take that Hawkeye.
Yeah, well, I mean, they set him right in Ultron.
Yeah, they did some good things with him. They turned it on its head. They took him out of being the romantic lead for Black Widow.
Yeah. Which would have been so easy. Like, you're a human and I'm a human and let's do human stuff together. Just, it would have been the obvious, road to go down. But then to sort of Actually, making one of the deepest and most well sketched out characters in the entire Marvel cinematic universe, with his wife and kids, with his own priorities in life and his own sort of set of moral.
And it's outside of just whatever they're avenging. It's like, I've got more at stake here than just, more at stake than the end of the world. I've got the end of my world.
Yeah, exactly.
That I have, which, it's really good. Like, they do it, like, the characters in this are great. And, like, they play Spider-Man off really well as well. Like, Peter Parker thing felt a little bit strained. At first, it did feel like it was just fluff to set it up for Homecoming. But him in the airport fight scene, really great. They really played him off as this. Yeah, this is this. Hey, look, this is Spider-Man, and I think he plays a better Spider-Man than Tobey Maguire did.
Yes. Tobey Maguire, they always sort of Tobey Maguire, I think, is still the best Peter Parker ever.
Absolutely. He's the best Peter Parker.
But then his Maguire also that his kind of oh shucks sort of Boy Scout sort of charm didn't really translate into kind of the snarky witty banter that Spider-Man was known for. I mean, you saw that he had a little bit of it here and there, but Tom Holland easily had the best sort of flow of as Spider-Man. This guy is basically beating the crap out of these guys while fanboying over them at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And he is literally a character who can't shut up because he's terrified of the situation that he's in. He feels so fish out of water that he is trying to cover it up by just consistently talking. And they make reference to the fact it's like, please stop talking. You're not supposed to talk this much in fights. It's like, oh, sorry. Doing his spider thing. It's just it's so refreshing to see that, and to see after all that we've had with Amazing Spider-Man, to have a really fun Spider-Man who's not just trying to bang Emma Stone, which you know.
I mean, good. Yeah. I mean, you gotta have a crack at it, I guess.
You gotta go what you gotta do what you gotta do, Andrew Garfield. But you know what, man? You do you, and let Tom Holland do Spider-Man because he's better.
It's fantastic. Well, shots fired there. Good thing we're not doing a shout out to Andrew Garfield at the end of the podcast.
No.
I'll tell you what. Who could do Spider-Man?
Our man.
I reckon he could do it. He could do it better than anyone else.
The vigilant listener.
He'd bring something to it. Scoot McNairy. He would be able to do it. He'd knock Spider-Man out of the park.
Hell yeah. All right, here we go. Scoot McNairy, Ben Reilly, Scarlet Spider. Let's make it happen.
Ooh, okay.
Yep, he's supposed to be a clone, but doesn't matter. Just do it.
Just do it. Make it happen.
Make it happen.
It's a clone, half clone, half human, or something like that.
Or make him Kane, the imperfect clone. Doesn't matter. Do it.
It doesn't matter. Just make it happen.
Come on, do the Jackal storyline. Let's go. Come
yes. Scoot, call your people and make it happen, mate. You've got the power. You've got the power in your hand.
Just give us the invite to the red carpet. That's all we ask.
And access to the free bar, and we promise we won't bother you after that.
But you'll have to be on the podcast before then. Naturally.
You will. I mean, that's just part of the rule. It's just going to happen. I mean, quite frankly, how could you refuse?
I don't know how I could.
Oh God.
Scoot, we love you.
Love you dearly. Love you to bits, man. Huge fan of your work.
And this film sets up basically where we're going next with the Avengers films into Infinity, which kind of brings in the two teams of the Avengers, really. Yeah,
the split teams that eventually will have to put aside their differences to take on the grander, threat of Thanos and everything like that. I mean, I can't remember how the contracts works, but I think Chris Evans has only got one more movie left,
which I guess is
in his contract, which means that
Infinity
he might only be in one part.
Is that actually like, because it's like part one, part two, is that like it is one film, but it's being split?
Yeah, I don't know like what the contractual ins and outs of that would actually be. Whether it
Yeah.
would count as like would you be filming the entire thing all at once and then like splitting it in half, or would you have two separate productions?
Oh, I would probably want them to do it all together,
Mm,
you know, but that sounds ridiculous from like a Hollywood point of view.
yeah,
That seems
that'd
like
be.
too much money up
I was
front.
gonna say that'd be an enormous um, undertaking. I mean, I read somewhere that they're saying that the budget for the two movies is $1 billion.
Yeah. And that, yeah, that would be easily like a billion point five,
Yeah.
1.5 billion if they did it together, because that would just do a lot.
Mm.
Yes. But so, yeah, but they've got
But then
that
again, I mean,
thing.
like Justice League Part One is getting shot on its own, and then they're shooting Part Two separately.
Yeah,
So
well,
I don't know how that would work.
yeah, well, that's not going to be a good film. So, we're trying to talk about good films here.
I guess, but it is curious to me, like just to segue for a second, like the number of narrative beats that Civil War and Batman v Superman actually share.
Yeah, they do
That they're both
broach the superhero accountability.
kicked off by instances of bad collateral damage, notions of lack of accountability amongst these enhanced beings. It's then the plot is driven by a
The
guy
government,
with his own personal vendetta against these two people who basically you know
they bomb
constructs
the
a fight
government,
between the two of them. It's done by a bombing of a
government
governmental
building. Yep.
building and everything like that. And at the end of it all, everyone tools up and fights over
They
someone's dead
show,
mum.
yes, and they even show media of that dead mother in
Yeah,
order to spur that fight on. Oh my god! They ask if they could,
it's the exact same
oh,
movie, and yet
this is how this is like a masterclass in what not to do and what to do. Like, this is a film that has taken its time to happen, as opposed to
yeah.
a film that was rushed and had to pick up the pieces that it didn't ever like drop. It's just scrambling for it, making them as it was coming together.
Yeah, well, it had to set up, 5 different movies
Yeah, and
all
act
at
as
once.
if the billionaire the billionaire has been around for like at least 10 years.
Yeah,
Whereas Robert Downey Jr. has been Iron Man for 10 years.
so when he gets, aged and angsty and, you know, uh, depressed and upset and makes these choices, that's like, as an audience member, you empathize with that sort of stuff because you've been on the journey with him. You've seen everything that he's been through, and so you understand what informs his decision in this film.
Yeah.
Whereas, in BVS, when Bruce Wayne does this, that, and everything else, it's basically just like, well, you got to take our word for it that this is what he would have done,
Yeah. And yeah, they just make
based on no evidence whatsoever.
Yeah, just so that the Marvel universe has made it work. They even played off, they played off the fact that in none of like the Avengers films, Pepper Potts has been in them.
Yeah,
And they do it again with this one, where they essentially conscious uncouple.
yeah,
That's just what Gwyneth Paltrow does apparently. So they did that, and it's like, okay, well, this still worked because like it played into the films narratively,
yeah,
and it made sense because of it all.
yeah,
And probably and then they did talk into the fact that, in Iron Man 3, he gave it up. Age of Ultron, he was back in the suit, and he was just it was just like no question about it. It's like, yeah, of course I'm in the suit. This is an Avengers film. Whereas in this one, they actually said it's like, I can't not be in this suit.
yeah.
I have to be in this suit this is the reasoning behind it. We're not having to make up a reason. We're not having to be just told, no, this is the reason, and you have to understand it. No, we've seen all of these things. We've seen these characters work. We understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Even the new characters, we understand, this is why Tom Holland's, Peter Parker's doing his thing.
Yeah.
We understand what T'Challa's doing, why he's doing it. It's very easily set up. Like, it's never, I'm going to kill you because I have to kill you. Even death's not on the cards.
Yeah.
So apart from the first scene where like Sam Wilson like kills a bunch of people, like he explodes people.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. Like, I thought that was weird. But apart from that time, like the heroes are never at the point of killing each other. Like,
no.
Iron Man wants to kill Winter Soldier, but Winter Soldier is neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Black Panther wants to kill him, but he never really gets the chance to.
Yeah.
But like the two main people, like Iron Man and Captain America, they death's not on the cards for them, for each other. They don't want it. They make it look like it is the final scene, but it's never really the case.
But then at the last, he doesn't kill him. Yeah, he doesn't kill him in the end. So,
because of course, why would Captain America do that? Tony Stark probably would.
Yeah,
like he'd push to his
old Tony.
Yeah, like probably would, but Captain America just wouldn't. That's who he is. He'll break people out of like supermax prisons and shit like that.
Yeah,
but he's not going to go around killing people.
I mean, even Zemo doesn't want to kill the Avengers.
Yeah, he doesn't want to kill them, just wants to break them apart because he can do so much more damage to them.
Yeah.
It's that destroying the idea.
Exactly, yeah. The idea and the ideology is powerful or more powerful than the people that make it.
Mm. And it's just a well put together film. And I think during this discussion, I kind of was like, Winter Soldier is a superior film to this.
I would agree with you on that one, because just pacing wise, it works a lot better. I mean, Civil War, it's about two and a half hours.
Yeah,
and at the end, it does drag its feet a little.
It does, but at the same time, like it does do things better than what Winter Soldier does. Like the ending, like the climax, the antagonists, like they do those better. It doesn't follow the formula of things falling out of the sky.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling like they're on par with each other. Like the Russo brothers are hitting 2 for 2 here.
Yeah.
They have proven themselves that they can do a film, a Marvel film, and do it well.
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
once, but twice. And a crazy amount of credit to them.
Yeah, for coming from Arrested Development and Community.
Yeah. Arrested Development, Community, and then they're able to pull out this sort of business.
I mean, in terms of just pure something that's just like, I mean, you can come into it as we kind of have done and deconstruct, the characters' motivations and like what they're doing. But I mean, in terms of just like, value for money, buck for buck, enjoyable, summer blockbuster, I'd say this like basically takes the cake in terms of just like one of the just straight up most satisfying.
Absolutely.
Films I've seen this year. It does exactly what it said it was going to do.
And it gives you and it gives you more than that. It is a summer blockbuster that gives you great character moments.
Mm.
It gives you, proper reasoning. It doesn't it gives you some plot points and all of that, Vision not being at the start of it, all of that sort of crap. It gives you that, but it also it makes you care about these characters. The plot is succinct enough. It has enough twists and turns in it. It's apart from a few things, it's pretty well paced.
Mm.
It is a solid film as much as it is a summer blockbuster.
Yes. And it's a sort of a curious thing that, people always say that phrase. I mean, it's good for a comic book movie.
no, this is good for
This is just a good film.
Yeah, in the same way that Winter Soldier was a good film, like it is a good spy film. Like this is, and I don't know what, like, is this? This is not a spy film. This is something else.
Yeah, it's a strange mix. It's like a family crisis film as well as being like a big sort of spy blockbuster type thing.
Yeah, it is a summer blockbuster with the pedigree of what the summer blockbuster of Jaws was, because that was a summer blockbuster. And it was a great film.
It was one of the first greats, yeah.
One of the first greats, and it is not as good as Jaws. I do not believe that.
No,
but it is at that sort of genre of it.
It's a movie that sort of understands that the lulls are just as important as the bombastic moments.
Yeah.
That the beats in between are what inform these grander, more action-oriented moments. And without those lulls, those moments of taking a second to actually check in with characters, to actually have them progress as human beings and have moments with each other, the payoff is so much poorer and less rich because you don't care about them. And that's the beauty of this movie, is that we've been with these characters long enough now that we do care about the outcomes, and they can talk about things and reference past affairs and events, and we know all of those things happened because we were there for them. And so it just gives this richer tapestry of history to all these characters that, just fit like a good shoe. They just fit like perfectly into, this movie and all the movies, because the actors, who play them are so comfortable with them now as well. And you look at, Batman v Superman, and everyone in that movie is just awkward because they're being saddled with like a huge amount of expositional history, but there's nothing cinematically that's come in the past for the audience to look back on and inform themselves with. So the onus is entirely on the actors and the characters in that movie to basically just vomit forth, a whole shitload of exposition and history, and just say, all right, this, and this happened.
Yeah.
And you'll just have to trust us on it. And it's like, well, I get that, but why should I care? Because I've seen you on screen as Batman for about, 30 minutes.
Yeah, and
I've seen Tony Stark on screen for hours.
Yeah. And yeah, we've grown accustomed to these people. And so the end of BVS is a somber end, the death of Superman. And we are forced to feel hope that we're forced to. Whereas at the end of Civil War, they have both lost.
Yeah.
There has been no win. It is very somber, a very somber end, and yet we feel hope. We feel excited for the next chapter.
We feel in spite of it. We're like, the movie doesn't ask us to feel that, but we just do, because with that final monologue from Steve basically saying, yes, we made mistakes. We are on opposite sides, but look, if you need me, call me.
You know where.
No matter where you are, no matter how far. Don't worry, baby. Just call my name.
Dad is coming home.
I'll be there in a hurry.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry.
Ooh. We got there. You got there. I wasn't on board for the start, but yeah, okay.
I apologize for that.
I think about wraps it up though.
I think it does. Yeah, on that note.
A somber note. Though it is somber, I do hope the listeners are hopeful of our next episode. We did say that we're going to be doing, the big. Oh God, I forget what it's called.
Big Short.
The Big Short. I was going to say The Big Shot, and I was like, that's not right.
I was going to say, maybe.
the big. We were going to be doing The Big Short, but another film has piqued our interests, and we're going to be doing that instead. Damien, what is the film that we are choosing to do?
the film that we are going to be bringing to you people next week is a movie called The Green Room, a sort of horror thriller, I guess. Is what you would call it, about a rock band basically that witnesses a violent murder at a club that they're performing at, a neo-Nazi club, and then have to basically stay alive while everyone is trying to kill them. And the owner of the club, Darcy, is played by the one and only Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, it's going to be this is going to be an
And
interesting one.
I've heard incredibly good things about it. That basically it is like an unabashed, genre thriller, but it does actually have some seriously tight performances and is actually smart. Like people aren't just doing stupid things all the time and just getting into ridiculous situations. So I'm quietly excited to see how it goes. This is, of course, written and directed by Jeremy Saulnier, who the last movie he did, I don't know if you ever saw this, bro, was this film called Blue Ruin in 2013, which was an absolutely amazing film. It was a Kickstarter movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's basically about a vagrant who finds out that his the man who murdered his parents is going to get released from prison, and so he basically just decides to come home and kill him. And
Interesting.
It's just, but it's very, very different in terms of like how they go about it. Like, I mean, it's very grim. It's incredibly stripped down, and bare bones, plot and vendetta, but it's beautifully shot and, tackles the notion of vengeance and, vendettas and vigilante justice in a really cool way. So I'm kind of excited to see how that gets subsumed into a more sort of a horror style film with this one, Green Room. So yes, stay tuned, everyone. That'll be our discussion next week.
Yeah, so go out. It is showing in cinemas right now.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can get to it. You can follow along. This is going to be an interesting one because it's out now. This is R rating sort of thing. This is going to be full on, and I'm really excited.
I'm excited. I'm quite thrilled actually to see a low key Patrick Stewart. I'm very intrigued to see a Patrick Stewart that hasn't got the bombast dialed up to 11.
Yeah, so a non-scenery chewing Patrick Stewart will be an interesting one to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Thank you very much, as always, to listening viewers.
Thank you, guys.
If you would like to follow us on the social medias, you can find all the links on our website, fromthesilverscreen.com. Rate us on iTunes. It really does help us rise in the ranks. The Brendan Fraser podcast is in like the top 10 new and noteworthy on iTunes. It has blown my mind.
He's gone so far. We've got so far to catch him now. So
far, and you guys can help us. So please continue to listen on. We do appreciate it greatly. Please review us, chat with us. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Go forth. Enjoy.
Multiply. Oh.
Please multiply.
Yeah, well. Yeah, slip of the tongue there.
Woo.
Wow.
All right, then.
We're done.
Talk to you all later.
Bye-bye.